Welcome to the Wydaho Show.
Welcome to the Wydaho Show. Today, our guest is Devin Simpson. He is the mayor of Thayne. He owns and runs with his brother Praterview Chiropractic, Main Street, Thayne. He is a husband and a father of many. Welcome, Devin.
Thank you. Glad to be here with you today.
All right. You're welcome. Glad to get out and interview some more interesting people. I'm on a roll here, so getting a bunch of local politicians in front of the public's face, and you're my first politician.
I don't know, that's a good thing or a bad thing. Hopefully I set the bar high enough for the rest of them.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I think it's good because I honestly, most of us in the community here don't. Before today, I wouldn't have recognized you walking down the street. So
That's a good thing. That means you don't have a complaint. Because the only time I get recognized is if I have a complaint brought against me. No, I see that all the time. People are like, I didn't know you were there. I'm like, yep, I have. Yep. So yeah, not many people know.
Yeah. Well, you'd probably know about me if I lived in Thayne, but I don't. So. Devin, tell us a little about growing up, where you grew up, and your early years.
Yeah, I actually grew up in the town of Thayne. My parents moved down to Thayne when I was about 8 years old, and they bought the farmer's feed store and the fruit stand here in downtown of Thayne from my grandparents. And so I grew up in the town of Thayne, right in the heart of the town of Thayne, and I rode my bike all over the town of Thayne growing up, and had lots of good memories growing up. And then once I graduated high school, I left and went to college. I went to the University of Utah in Salt Lake, and after there, I moved up to Portland, Oregon for chiropractic school. And luckily enough, I was lucky enough to come back to Star Valley, and lucky enough to come back to Thayne eventually, which really is exciting for me.
Great. So it's interesting to note that Devin's brother Darnell, older brother Darnell, is a chiropractor also.
Yeah.
Involved in the same business together. Tell us how two brothers land in the same occupation.
Yeah, no, he went to chiropractic school before me, and he finished, and I always knew I wanted to go in the medical field. I just didn't know which direction I wanted to go, and as I studied more about different medical professions, I like my weekends too much, and so I didn't really want to go be a medical doctor and have to be on call on that. And this was a great profession that allowed me to own my own business, own my own practice. And for that, and as my brother was going through school, he had talked to me, explained to me things that we were doing, and it just piqued my interest, and eventually that's what I decided to do, and luckily enough, we were able to come back and join practices and work together, which has been a good blessing to us.
Good. So after high school, you went off on an LDS mission to Maryland.
I did. Yep,
yeah.
For 2 years. Yep.
Yeah. Maybe tell us a little bit about your experience with the mission.
It was fun. It was a lot of growing, a lot of learning to communicate with other people, because that's what you did all day long, was talk with people about your faith and your belief. And it helps grow my own personal belief and my own testimony of the restored gospel of Jesus Christ. And so it allowed me to grow in that aspect, but also it allowed me to grow in many other aspects, because all of a sudden, as a 19-year-old, I was forced to interact with people much older than me and much younger than me, and be able to talk to them in a diplomatic and a civil way, so that things could just be nice and harmonized. So a lot of growing, a lot of neat experiences, a lot of fun, but a lot of growing up happened during that year, and a lot of happy memories. So yeah.
Cool. After that, you go to University of Utah for your undergrad.
For my undergrad there, and finished that up there. And also got married at that time. I met my wife Crystal, who I married in 2006. And then we went up to chiropractic school in 2007. We went to chiropractic school in Portland, Oregon, and went to 3 years there. Got it done as fast as I could, so that your student loan debts wasn't super high.
3 years as fast is the fastest, like you can pull that off.
Yeah,
or
it's a 4-year program, but if you go through the summertime, you can shorten it down to 3 full years. So I went to school year round for 3 full years, and it was a long 3 years.
You went all in for 3 years.
Yep.
And just ready to move on and get back to Thayne.
Yep.
You think, was that your intention kind of all along to?
It was always in the back of my mind, and it was always a hope, I think. But with my brother, he came back in 2007 and started the practice, and so it was always, was it going to be big enough to support both our families? And probably those first handful of years, it probably wasn't, but we made it work. We made it work with a lot of hard work. We made it work, and so now it can sustain both of our families, and it's a great blessing, and it's another great opportunity that my brother was able to let me come back here and practice here as well. So
cool. So did you actually get an undergraduate degree, or did you just like fill prerequisites and
So at the University of Utah, I just filled prerequisites. I got my 90 hours, and I had all my prerequisites done, and so no medical school or no chiropractic school required you have a bachelor's degree. Okay. It's just strongly emphasized. And when I was in chiropractic school, I took 2 more classes and finished my bachelor's degree through Western States as well. So I have a bachelor's degree in human anatomy. I don't know what it does for me, but I have a bachelor's degree in human anatomy as well. So
okay. So you come back, meet your brother here after chiro school, jump into business with him, and sounds like maybe those first years were slim between both of you. What'd you do? How'd you grow things?
Just a lot of growth through the practice. It's just a matter of time. As you get your name out there, more and more people expanded that. But we also did a lot of side jobs to try to help supplement the income as well as we were growing practice and developing that. We laid a lot of carpet. He laid more than I did. I had a back injury, so it limited me a little bit on some of that stuff during that time frame. But
good thing, I guess you had somebody to work on you though, huh?
That's the nice thing, because I had someone there to help me out a lot to get me through that. So, practice has grown, and it's just steadily grown every year since, and it's been just really nice. And it's a lot of great people, we get to work on and help and talk with every day. So.
Great. So, you married Crystal in your undergrad years.
Yep.
And maybe kind of lead us along your family journey.
Yeah, and we had 4 girls.
Oh, you didn't tell me the sexes earlier.
I have 4 girls of my own.
Okay.
And then in 2016, my wife Crystal came down with breast cancer. And so we went through all of that, and things were looking really good and strong. And then early 2018, the breast cancer came back and it metastasized to her lungs. And ultimately it metastasized to her heart, and her heart gave out. And she passed away in late 2018. And left me with 4 little girls, which is a lot of headache and a lot of challenges. My youngest at the time was, it wasn't even a year old yet, and so and so I had a lot of great family. My parents helped me out a lot. I had tremendous friends that just stepped up to the plate and were significant in helping me raise my kids and make life much easier. And actually, when we moved back here, we actually ended up on Starlight Ranch and bought a home up there. And then just early in 2018, before my wife was diagnosed the second time, we actually bought a home down here in Thayne, which was probably one of the biggest blessings ever, because then I was literally a minute from work. And so I could run back and forth home to work to try to make sure I get all the household chores done that needed to be done throughout the day. And so get the laundry done for all the kids. And so it was a challenging part, and significantly enough, and we'll get to that, I'm sure, but that was about the time I took over as mayor as well. So that was it was a different challenge that was all faced at the exact same time. So
tremendous loss and mourning and transition and taking on the new role of becoming mayor.
Yeah.
Why did you make that decision? I'm sure
That's
you wonder.
A loaded question and a loaded answer. Sometimes I wonder why myself. I really do. When I initially put my application in, it was required to be in usually like the end of May. And my wife, I believe, and I can't remember the exact dates, but I believe we found out my wife had cancer the second time, with like 3 days after I put my application in to be mayor. And I numerous times tried to convince her to let me pull my application, just so that because I knew the headache of what potentially could have happened and the time and she never would let me. And so there's I actually ran against Larry Lawton, which is the first contested mayor race in quite some time, and I won, and accepted that responsibility as that. And looking back, it was a blessing and a curse at the same time. It was a blessing that I was so busy I didn't have time to think about anything. I didn't have time to think about myself and to deal with I still dealt with the emotions of it all. Don't get me wrong, I went through all those emotions, but I was just so busy that I didn't have time to kind of sit in self-pity, I guess, and cry woe with me. And so I had too many things going on between my kids, my family, my church, and mayor, and work and everything else. It was a busy time, which was good. It was good. I needed to be busy during that time. So
You got it all right.
no, right?
Yeah. So since that time, you become mayor, and you were elected in 2018 and took office in 2019.
Yep, January 2019, I took office. Yep.
Okay. You have a new wife and another few kids on top of that now?
We do. Yep. I married my wife Anissa in 2020, and she has 4 kids of her own. She has 3 girls and 1 boy. So there's 7 girls and 1 boy in our house, which is a lot. And so they're all super close in age. They're spanned from 5 to 12, with 3 of them basically being 3 sets of twins that are all 3 of them in the exact same grade. So a lot of happiness and a lot of fighting could go on in the house as they work through that. And that first year was really a lot of challenge through the whole process of blending families and blending parenting styles and blending everything. But overall, the kids have done really well, and my wife Anissa has done above and beyond to help out with that. As I tend to be gone a lot more. I think it's funny. I talked to my council about the first 2 years I was mayor. I can count on one finger, how many times council meeting ever went over an hour. Maybe an hour and a half at tops, one time in 2 years.
Right.
And these last 2 years, if we get out of there in 2.5 to 3 hours, we're doing really well. So I said, it's just crazy how things happen perfectly. Because my neighbor would watch my kids for that first year, 2 years, and I was always home to put those kids to bed. I never missed one time. Did I not miss them putting them to bed? Versus now, I get home and my kids are long in bed.
You couldn't have done it a couple of years ago.
No, I couldn't have.
Yeah.
As busy as in the town of Thayne now, I couldn't have done it those first 2 years. It just wouldn't work.
The amount of business and Thayne has expanded that your meetings now take at least twice as long as they used to.
Yeah, the town of Thayne, there's a lot of changes and a lot of growth that's in the town of Thayne, and it's for good or for bad, depending on which direction you want to talk about, which individual you want to say it's good or bad. And growth is always good. I always tell my council, growth is good as long as it's done in a correct way. And I'm a firm believer, if it's your property, you should be able to do what you want as long as it's within the guidelines of what the town has, the regulations and codes. And so we have that right now. We have a big 113 acre subdivision that has the potential to go in. And so we're meeting with that big development company. They're out of California. And
can you give us an idea of running a town as you do? I mean, like a big subdivision coming in, and the processes that you have to work along with the contractor or developer. Maybe you give the public an idea of like the time and the steps that's necessary in something like that.
Yeah, and the sad part about this is the first time something like this has drastically happened to the town of Thayne, probably ever. So the town of Thayne's been a little bit behind the ball on this one, and we're in the process of getting caught up.
It's your first time,
right? I know our ordinances are a little bit, they're not like quite what they need to be, because a lot of times good things in the town of Thayne was done just on a good old handshake, as things could be done, 30, 40, or 20, even 15 years ago, and now it's all dust. So the process with this big subdivision and something like this is, we've already had one meeting. I'm having another meeting with them here this other week, and basically they present their thoughts. This is what we would like to do, and then we come back and say, okay, we asked for different studies to be done, a traffic evaluation study to be done to tell us what about your traffic, how your traffic's going to inflow and outflow on different roads in the town or on the highway. And then we asked for numerous studies, but just for example, we watched the water study, because they're going to drastically, if potentially a 200 home, which is what they're proposing, potentially that in theory could quadruple the size of the town of Thayne. And so can our water structure can it handle it? Can our sewer infrastructure can handle it?
So where's the water and sewer systems now in relation to this proposed development?
Right, absolutely. So they have to do all this studies beforehand, through engineers do these studies for them to tell us what do we have to do. Can our system handle it? Can our system not handle it? If our system can't handle it, what do we do to bring that up to standards? Because that's on their plate. Like, we can't dump that back onto the residents of the town of Thayne and say, okay, pay for all this infrastructure improvement for this subdivision. That's not how it works. The subdivision has to make sure that everything that they're bringing our system can handle it. And if it can't, they need to pay for those upgrades.
So right now, where's the town of Thayne in sewer and water systems for this new development? Like, do you have the capabilities to do it now with your current systems, or you're looking at massive expansion on something like that?
We don't know yet, and we're waiting on those engineering reports to come back. We do know our water system is in phenomenal shape. We've, over the last handful of years, we've upgraded it and got a brand new tank this couple of years ago, and so we're set up to handle this, but not that type of growth. Like, with just the normal growth, we were able to handle it. We projected it. That tank was projected to last 20 years, which is pretty typical for most infrastructure projects, is to handle it for 20 years. And so our systems are in all great shape right now, but can we handle their growth? We don't know that yet, and that's what that's where we're at with this big one. Is we're just waiting for them to get all these engineering reports and studies back, so that they can present to us saying, okay, this is what you need to do, what you don't need to do, so that we can make agreements. And so that's the second step. Meeting with them is the first step. Second step is to get all these studies done. And then the third step really is we open it up for public comment. We talk about it as council, and we create a plan of what to do, which is what we call a developers agreement. So that they agreed, whatever they agree to do and what we agree to do gets written in a contract. So that they can go to that, and once we go to that, then we can go to it and approve what they call we can either approve a master plan or what they consider might be a final plot. We can approve that and let them to start up construction on the project.
Okay, and this proposed expansion is just on the east side of town, kind of next to the middle school and the fairgrounds. It's
on the north side of town, if you're by Family Dollar, it's kind of behind there, up on that hill there. There's 113 acres there from an old ranch.
Okay, cool. That'd be some beautiful property to own a home right there, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would be nice. And like I said, in theory, you quadruple the size of the town of Thayne, which is hard to believe, because I think in the last 10 years, our census, we grew like 16 people in 10 years, and so I think in the next 10 years we could go from a town of 380 to potentially a town of 1,600 is kind of hard to fathom. It's hard to think about sometimes.
Yeah.
So.
Where is the source of Thayne's water?
So town of Thayne has two sources of water. They're both on the east side of town. One's a well, and the other one's actually a spring. And that spring is really, really good water, and it produces a lot of water. And it's really good water. We've never had an issue with any of our EPA tests on it. We've always done really well on all our testing on our wells, and they're really good, and they produce a lot of water, which is great.
Okay. So help me understand, what's the purpose of the tank up on the hill? How does that work in your flow?
Yeah, so we have like I said, the two sources, the water, the well, and then the spring. And so they both pump up into those storage tanks. We have two of those storage tanks.
Okay.
One's this bright blue, the bright baby blue one that's easy to see. The other one's a little bit further east, and it's to store capacity of the water. Because as a town, you're responsible to have so much water capacity. In case your wells go dry or power goes off, then the town of Thayne residents still have water. And so that's where they store them. Unfortunately, that's where the chlorine has to go into the water. People complain about the chlorine taste in water, but that's required by government regulations, because you're storing water, then you have to basically chlorinate it to make sure it's clean so that people can drink it. Otherwise, we'd have just fresh spring water, which would be great, but that's storing that's the problem.
Right, the storing is the problem. Huh. So, getting back to your family a little bit. So, how do the boys hold up in the household? There's two boys versus 7 girls. Is that the ratio?
8 girls, yeah.
8 girls, 2 boys.
We hold up okay. I've told my wife, and I'm still probably going to do it. I've said I'm going to find a cabin for when all my girls are in high school, and then I'll leave for a week at a time and come back. No, we hold up to it. He plays really well. He does really well with the kids. I have a girl who likes to do a lot more of the rough and tumble stuff, and so they get along all really well, and he does really well there. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Give us an idea about the transportation. I mean, like how do you own a bus? Like how do you get from point A to point B?
Yeah, that's a sore subject because that's where the pride comes in when you have to buy a van like that. So we actually we had it's called a Nissan Envy. It's basically a utility vehicle. That's what they were designed for.
Okay.
But they're actually 12-passenger vans. And
wow.
The problem with them is they're only rear-wheel drive. They're only two-wheel drive, no rear wheel, which is brutal for this country. You can't go in a big van. So we had to get it converted. So we didn't have a van for probably the first 4.5 months we were married. So anytime we went anywhere, we'd have to take two vehicles.
So you had to get that vehicle converted to four-wheel drive.
Yeah.
So you took a two-wheel drive van, got four-wheel drive on that. Now you're running safe on Star Valley's winter roads.
Yes, we are.
Okay.
So and it took a long time to get that done. Part of it was COVID. You just couldn't get parts for them. But the part of it is there's only one company in the entire Western United States that does it, and it's out of Salt Lake.
Oh.
And so they were just so backlogged. Like, we have a high request for these, which I'm like, why? Why?
I wonder why they're based in Utah.
Right?
Huh? That's a good business decision right there.
Yes.
Lots of large families.
So, there's a lot of craziness when we have to go somewhere trying to make sure that, and it's going to get worse as these kids get older. I know that trying to get especially going to be getting 7 girls out the door is going to be a bit of a challenge, but it'll be okay. They'll figure it out.
Yeah, good. Well, one place where Thayne really shines in this valley is your rec program, and man, it's just I was just here at the ball fields last week with my family, both boys having softball games, and man, it's wild out there on game night.
It is. It's a fun wild, right? It's good to see it, and I have kids in the program too, so I go over every time I can, and it's fun just to sit with parents and they say thank you to me, but I'm like, it has nothing to do with me. I tell people a lot of my responsibility as mayor is just to sign checks. Like a lot of this is as council members and our employees in the town, and Joe Heward, our councilman Joe Heward, he's been in the town for a number of years. He's the one that heads up and runs our rec program, and he's absolutely made it a star attraction for the town of Thayne. Just for an example, this year in our T-ball through softball, we had over, I think the number's close to 330 kids participating, which is just remarkable. I think last year we were in the low 200s, so we had almost 100 more kids playing this year than we did last year. What made us panic a little bit in the beginning because we were trying to make sure we had enough coaches and enough sponsors because there are a lot of these local businesses sponsor these kids and just buy a t-shirt for them, which is we love our local businesses because they go above and beyond to help us out with our rec program. And we'll start with soccer here soon, and soccer is usually our biggest, bar none. And we do it all in one night, so if you want to think craziness, go ahead and show up to town of Thayne on soccer night, because we'll put 350 to 400 kids on one night in the town of Thayne playing soccer on 6 different fields, and so it's kind of a controlled chaos, but it's a lot of fun. And we go from there. We'll go into football. We have the only tackle football program in the valley here in Star Valley.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's for 5th and 6th graders, and it is fun to watch those kids. It's fun to see them progress as the season goes along. And I remember last year one team hadn't won a game all year until the very last week, and they finally, you could just see the progression as the coaches helped those kids, and the kids, they just thrived and they won their last game. And it was fun to watch. But that's the great thing about people always ask us how do we do it, and it's honestly volunteers. We don't pay any of our coaches. Coaches all volunteer. We have this year our core coordinator is Rebecca Hutchinson, and she's also the town clerk, and she actually asked, because we're right in the town hall is right connected to the senior center, and this year she asked a handful of those senior citizens to come actually ref the baseball games, and it's been absolutely a blast to watch those kids, those older gentlemen and ladies, because they care, they want these kids to thrive, and they help them. You see them kind of coaching behind the plate as the umpire, here, swing here, that was a bad pitch, maybe wait for a good one. They're still just helping these kids develop, and that's what our rec program is all about. And we've always said from the beginning, we're not a competitive rec program. We're a participation in fun, learn the fundamentals rec program, and it really has taken off. And so, Yeah, and then the wintertime we'll do volleyball and we'll do basketball. We actually do co-ed adult volleyball, and they do have a lot of fun with that. And then we come back around to baseball again, and we're always looking to expand it. We'd love to eventually add pickleball to our rotation, and also with potentially cornhole, which is there. We ran our first cornhole tournament as a town of Thayne a few months back, and it was a lot of fun and a success. And so this year we're looking to do that on the 4th of July weekend. We're in coordination with SVI Media this year. They're doing a big concert down here on Saturday, July 2nd. They're doing a concert from like 3 till 10.
Oh wow!
With like 5 or 6 different bands, and so Joe Heward and I took upon ourselves, and we said that we would run a cornhole tournament at the same time, and so we're going to run a big hopefully 64-man bracket cornhole tournament on that weekend, and have just a lot of fun. Just put people in the town of Thayne, have fun, and enjoy.
Okay.
Let's hear.
Great. Well, there's the big news for coming up on Thayne. July 2nd is the cornhole tournament. What else is going on that day?
And then the concert, SBI Media has a concert.
Okay.
They coordinate it with their Last Chance for their big concert that they do at the fair, where they give away $10,000. The last participant who gets to go and gets voted in on that Saturday. And
the vocalists, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are there any other notable bands coming in for that, or what?
Duke Dance has told me them, but I can't remember off the top of my head. But he has 4 or 5 different types of bands coming in. I know one of them is going to be karaoke for kids. A karaoke portion for kids, so they'll be able to go up and sing and have some prizes for that. And so, yeah, we're going to have water slides, water activities for kids just to come do for free, just to come and enjoy the weekend, enjoy some good music, and maybe play some cornhole too if you want. So.
Right. Well, yeah. Thank you, because all your town rec programs just are great for the kids, but they're also great for the adults too. It kind of forces me to stop working for a little bit, watch my kids, and it's great sitting in the bleachers and talking with all the other parents, and just great family atmosphere.
Yeah, and I think that's what COVID kind of was talking to the council. That's kind of what COVID's kind of forced us away from that, right? And forced us to isolate because we tried to slow everything. And I think people really sought out and needed that interactions, because I hear that all the time from parents. It's great just to be able to get out, and rub shoulders with other people that we haven't seen for we don't get to see all the time. It's good to rub shoulders with them. So that's another great aspect of being able to get out.
Great. Devin, thank you for the interview. Thank you for sharing all your information about the town of Thayne, and letting us know about your upcoming town event here on July 2nd. Real quick, what's in the future of the town of Thayne here?
I don't know. That's a great question. We got a lot of these big growth potentials, and that's probably what the town of Thayne's probably concerned with, and also optimistic about as well. So we just want to make sure it's done the right way to protect the current residents, so that their entities are taken care of, but also look to add future people, because if you're not growing, you're going the other direction, and that's never a good thing. So town of Thayne needs to grow, and it just needs to become a little bit bigger, and which will be great. It'll helpful put more people here and more opportunities for people to help and serve. So as the outlook of Thayne is great. There's lots of great things. We're very financially secure in what we do, but we're looking to make sure we do things the right way.
Great. Well, the town of Thayne is certainly a shining light in Star Valley. Thanks for all your service and everything you do.
No, thank you. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Okay, you're welcome.